What's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well. So I'm sure you've already seen lots of videos at this point about the flash crash that we have seen on Bitcoin. And so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about all of the details and, blah, 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 like this is why it happened. Because at the end of the day, it has happened. And so the impact and the potential future movements is what I'm going to be focusing on in this video. So I do hope that you enjoy. I'm going to be talking through a few projects that I'm looking at and also what I am doing in order to, how I'm kind of investing as the prices do go down and all that fun sort of stuff. So I do hope that you enjoy. But first of all, none of this is financial advice. As always make sure you go and do your own due diligence, etc., etc. And so the first thing I want to draw your attention to is the current market and how it's currently behaving, because often when you see scenarios like this, well, that is a little bit too opaque. You see scenarios like this. In fact, let me just make that a little bit more transparent here. Go. When we see scenarios like this, it's very easy for us as investors. I see people all the time going, oh, this is so bullish. And so they imagine that we're just going to fly back up here in the same way that we went down. And one of the things that I've learned over the years with just trading in general is that things rarely move as quickly as you think they will move. And what I think is much more likely, if we look back to the crash over here that we saw earlier this year, we'll see if we could, in fact, let me just go back in time so we could see this as if it was happening in real time. Now, of course, there are going to be differences, but you can see at this point in time, when everyone sees this big wick, it's very, very easy to be like, oh, we're going to fly back up and it's going to be really, really quick. And often it's not going to be that quick. In fact, in this particular case, it took a period of consolidation and accumulation down here before we actually saw any major improvement. Now, this period from the point of that big wick to the beginning of the recovery was about 2 months, a little over 2 months. And so what I think will happen now is I think we'll see something very, very similar. I think realistically, the consolidation is going to be in this kind of region here, potentially breaching past these lows down here before eventually seeing a recovery higher. It's very, very easy when we look at the different tokens and coins, especially in the gaming sector. Yesterday they were all down 10, 20, some 30, 40%. And now today they're already bouncing up 10, 20% again. I think, in my opinion, that this is going to be just a temporary move up, and then we're actually going to come down and see some lower prices, and we're going to enter that consolidatory phase. Of course, I may be wrong. I'm just a speculator like pretty much everybody else out there. But to be honest with you, I think from just looking at how markets move in general for so long, I really would be quite surprised if we weren't at least consolidating for a month or maybe 2 months here. I would be very, very surprised if we don't do that. And so this is a good thing, because it means that there are going to be opportunities sustaining themselves. Because as we saw during this period, as Bitcoin was fluttering down in these levels, this provides the opportunities, it provides the time and the amount of time that we need in order to research properly and understand what the good projects are and what the bad projects are, and then make our decisions based off that. Because ultimately, that is my entire investment thesis. It's, okay, what is the potential future value of the market that this project operates in? So if it's Altura, helping with bringing in NFT integration to video games, then the potential size of that market is very big. I then compare the market cap of Altura to that future market cap after I've made sure that the actual technology of Altura has all of the right things in place to make sure that it's providing a good service. So obviously, you could have a great, potential industry, but you could have a terrible product. And so obviously, you're not going to reach anywhere near the size of the market. But the bottom line is, if you've got a good product and you've got a high future potential value, and the current value is discounted in comparison to that, then that, in my mind, is a fantastic project. And so during this period now that we are probably going to be entering into, of course, probably is the key word there. I'll tell you what I'm looking at. Okay, so Gala Games, I got in yesterday, so I got in around pretty much right at the dip down here, or no, it's right, yeah, it's around here. And already today, we have seen, I think I'm like 15% up on that Gala position, but I'm not obsessing about that 15%. In fact, I'm rolling out profits as they come. So I roll out about every 10%, and I just roll it into stable coins, because if I expect prices to go lower, I'm just going to re-roll that into the projects that I really, really like. Gala Games, I love. Why? For the same reason that people like Alex Becker and Elio Trades talks about, because in a sense, it is a form of diversification, because instead of it just being one game that either, lives or fails, we have multiple games underneath it. Okay, in fact, we have 5 games underneath it, all of which look pretty fun, look pretty good. And so this is a form of diversification, and it just brings up the potential for the market cap to grow a lot quicker, as we did see with the price of Gala Games. But as with all the projects I'm going to kind of run through now, every 10-20% dip that we see more, I'm just going to be buying more and dollar cost averaging in. I was in a very, very fortunate position, because I took out about 80% of my holdings of all of my crypto into stable coins last week, which was very, very convenient. And I will tell you the reason that I did that quickly now, because I'm sure some of you will be interested in that. Just on a technical basis, looking at Bitcoin, there were 2 key indicators that made me, not actual indicators, but indications that made me do what I did, okay? The first thing right here is we had this key level right here that we closed below on the daily. Technically, this was a close below right here, because I've drawn that line slightly high. Okay, and so from this point onwards, I'm monitoring the bearish candle closes. I'm monitoring the highs of those candles. So specifically candles that have made some kind of structural shift. So the reason that I'm drawing it from this candle and not this candle up here is because this bearish candle closed below the lows of this candle and this candle, but mainly just as long as it's one. In other words, it made a structural, in fact, just to keep this simple, just think about it like this. This bearish candle broke below these previous bearish candle, and therefore I'm looking at the high of that for my reference point. In the same way as over here, this bearish candle caused a kind of structural level. And so if we closed above there, I'll be seeing that as a bullish indication. In fact, I'm going to shorten this line here, because we then saw another bearish candle form right here. Now, bear in mind, I didn't put it on this bearish candle because it didn't cause any structural difference. So right here, and don't worry if you don't care about the technicals, guys, it's really not that important. And for now, I'm just walking you through how I was looking at this and why I was quite sure that prices were going to go down. We then created this level here, and then what happened, we started showing some rejections around here. And so I thought it was more likely that we were going down. I did not realize we were going to go down this quickly, but nevertheless, because we were on that trajectory, plus with how this looks, it looks very kind of distribution-y, similar to this area over here. But obviously, the markets never look identical twice. And so it was apparent that it was very likely that we could have just gone all the way back down. And so because of that, I took out all my coins, because I knew that we were due for a big retracement soon. And that is one of the best decisions that I have made, because now I have all of that cash to roll back into the projects that I like, such as Gala Games, Vulcan Forged, and Yield Guild Games is another example of game, I guess you could call them, would you call them studios? I don't know. You know what I mean? Kind of like a marketplacey type setup. I rolled some back into Sandbox. Engine, I rolled some back into. Ultra is a great project. Illuvium, I rolled some back into. UFO, did I buy some UFO? I can't actually remember. Maybe I did. I also bought some RMRK. I think it's Remark. I don't know how you pronounce that. That's up 30% today, which is pretty cool. Yield Guild Games, I mentioned that. Star Atlas, I did not buy, but I may buy that on future dips. I'm just talking about the gaming tokens, by the way, in this video, guys. D-Race, I did not buy any more of. Opulus, I bought some more of. Veracity, I did not buy. Those were kind of the main, kind of more conservative ones in the gaming category that I was looking at. I will make a separate video about the kind of smaller to micro cap categories that I was looking at, so that you can, have a reference point. But those things for me were the big projects that I was looking at and that I'm invested in. Am I expecting them to fly up? No, in fact, I'm actually expecting a little bit more of a consolidation, or at least a bigger dip, because remember, these altcoins, it may be scary to see them go down 20-30%, but these can go down 90%. And so I am preparing my risk for that. I'm making sure that I manage my risk so I can live another day and survive through those periods, because ultimately the projects that will survive through these periods will be the projects that have the most value and the projects that are delivering genuinely high quality utility to the marketplace, because the people and the investors who will be exposed during any kind of big correction like this will be the people who are just buying and selling things that they hear people talking about online. The people who are able to distinguish a good project from a bad project are the ones who will survive, because they understand that the good projects will survive, and they understand how to go ahead and find those. And I've got lots of videos on my channel where I talk about finding those good projects, and I'll be making lots more in the future describing how I'm doing it, at least. And so those are kind of the key things that I wanted to talk about in this video, because it's so easy at this point to get, I mean, literally just exposed in terms of your crypto portfolio, because if you cannot identify good projects, you're going to be screwed. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd appreciate you leaving a like. And until next time, guys, I will take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one.